We have medical records, electronic medical records, and some really, really scary things happening on that note. And I don't know if you've been following that story at all, but essentially, your privacy is being exposed. Your privacy is going to be a thing completely of the past. You think the NSA spying on foreign governments is scandalous. Did you know? Well, you know, first of all, about that hospital in California that exposed by accident, one laptop stolen, exposed, theoretically exposed, about 700,000 people's private medical records. Well, I mean, records have to be electronic. I talked to a guy who runs an electronic medical company where they keep those records, electronic medical records company, EMRs we call them, and he said, you know, it is important. It does away with a lot of redundancy, and it's important to be technologically up on things and making technology work for us, and it even can lead to some research and cures that are of course a really good thing. But identity theft, one of the fastest rising crimes worldwide. 12.6 million Americans the victims of identity theft just last year. America's financial data, as well as your most personal health information, could be made public if Obamacare's treasure trove of personal data is compromised. 700 patients' medical records stolen during an office break. The thieves have not been caught. They're still out there. They could do it again. And this highly sensitive information that is shared between you and your doctor. You know, when I did go on this Jon Stewart show, everyone said, oh, you know, these commercials, you know, are on the Jon Stewart show, they said, oh, these commercials, they're so wicked and awful. They show this creepy Uncle Sam in the exam room. Don't you think that's creepy? Heck yes, I think it's creepy that they're doing it. I don't think the commercial depicting the truth is creepy. I think the actual action of the government being in your exam room is quite creepy. And we're going to have to fight this. Don't forget, doctors will be asking you and your children questions like this. Are you depressed? Do your parents get along? Do they ever argue? Do you want birth control? Last time I took my daughters to the doctor said, I want a private moment with your children to talk to them alone. I said, like hell you do. Not having a private moment with my children. They happen to be my children. So if you take your children to the doctor now and you don't want them to have a private moment where the doctor can offer them birth control and God knows what else, vaccines for sexually transmitted diseases, among other things, if you don't want that, you have to sign a paper. It says you're refusing. You're refusing. Is there a gun in your home? Ever had any relatives that have committed suicide? And you have a gun in your home, huh? Ever been to a rally? Do you use illegal drugs? Have you ever? See what I mean? See where they're going with this? All of that information will be added to your private medical data and your governmental file. Oh yes, agencies like the IRS will be handed your personal information. And this week it was revealed that the Obamacare website tells users early on that they need their social security number, their birthday, their income, all shared with the IRS, Social Security Administration, Department of Homeland Security, and of course the NSA. You remember the days where doctors pulled out a chart and flipped through actual paper with your records? Well, seems like when, I think it was Hurricane Katrina came along, Newt Gingrich and others, it was Sandy, Newt Gingrich and others said, hey, but a bunch of records were lost. Nothing ever came of it. No one ever saw them, but they were lost in those floods. So we better make all of this electronic, right? Right. But what they didn't anticipate was Obamacare. Obamacare is a game changer of everything. It is a game changer of economics. It is a game changer of our whole entire health as a nation. It is a game changer of our privacy. I talked to Bruce Schneer, a security technologist and a fellow at the Berkman Institute, and he told me that medical privacy is one of the most difficult issues in the information age, that the information is incredibly valuable to society, not just to deliver healthcare, but for research purposes. But it is so highly personal that the penalties have to be very, very strong. You have to figure out how to navigate between those two poles and how to secure the data however it is stored. I talked to State Assemblyman Tim Donnelly. He's a candidate for governor in California that I've talked to you about many times, supported by many conservatives who have flipped over from the other side, like Rob Schneider that I interviewed. You can watch that interview on my website as well. He reported to us that people are being hit from two different directions, and it's hard to say which is more dangerous. People are being forced by Obamacare to hand over every bit of their most private data to the government. Literally every major branch of government will have access to your private healthcare data to use as they please. And they're going to pass it along to the other branches. But how else can it be used? Donnelly says some data can be taken by thieves from any local healthcare facility simply by stealing a laptop. With these rules, privacy, as Americans have known it in the past, is completely gone. How many Americans won't seek healthcare at all because they don't want, especially mental health care, because they don't want their private data made public? They don't want their children to know. They don't want it to be used against them so that they can't own a gun to protect their family. I mean, let's put yourself in a scenario. Let's say you are a single divorcee with an ex-husband who's threatening you, and you want to have a gun to protect yourself and your children. Well, guess what? If you admit you were depressed after your husband left you, you might not be eligible to own that gun if that information is passed from one government agency to another. And then there's the possibility, I mean, you think of Nixon and Watergate? All the person did that took the 700,000 pieces of private healthcare data, all he did was take a laptop. You know how easy it is to steal a laptop? How many times have you been at a conference and there's a laptop laying there? You could easily walk off with it. How many times have you found a laptop? I've found laptops before. And then, of course, there's the possibility of corrupt bureaucrats and politicians using collected data. Which politicians, which bureaucrats have access to your private information, and who are they supporting for president? And how important is that election to them? Let's see now, if this president says he's going to increase the size of your particular said bureaucracy, and this presidential candidate says he's going to eliminate your department, and you on this side happen to have access to someone's personal data who's running for that seat, or their wife, or their child, and oops, make that public. Can change everything. Actually, you wouldn't even have to make it public. All you'd have to do is write that politician and say, oh, by the way, I happen to have a copy of this, and it's going to be made public. If I were you, I'd shut up about destroying our department. I'd shut up about doing away with this fat cat bureaucracy, because we like it here. Right? Remember Mitt Romney? Mitt Romney's private contribution to the National Organization for Marriage leaked by an IRS agent, subsequently made into a campaign issue, and no one has ever been prosecuted for it. You think that won't be happening in every single election? This takes voter fraud to a whole new level. This means we can fix all the problems with voter fraud, we can eliminate them, and we still have a massive, massive problem that could eliminate freedom in this country as we know it. The recent NSA data mining scandal brought to light how many contractors have access to government data and how that data can be leaked for the entire world to see. To the best hacker, right, goes the biggest prize. So we have big problems coming. Now get this. I also spoke with an executive of a leading EMR company who said he didn't want to be identified, but he did speak candidly with me, and he said that EMRs are here to stay, and that there is one big concern that he mentioned, When Uncle Sam makes it mandatory, as it is in Obamacare, the government has already paid out over $16 billion in stimulus money to doctors and institutions to buy these systems. That's only the beginning. He said there will easily be 5 to 8 times that by the time they are done. To qualify for the payments over a 4 to 5 year period, a doctor must maintain certain objectives, must meet certain objectives. First year, it's pretty simple. Collect certain demographics, age, race, etc. Each year, it gets a little more complicated. A little more information needs to be collected. Institutions basically being forced onto systems that are required to collect data, and now Obamacare is forcing the individuals to supply all of that info as well. When the government is offering $44,000 to $64,000 per doctor to buy these systems, pretty enticing. It's a lot of money even to a doctor. Even when most really don't want to have anything to do with it. Do you think they're going to turn it down, that offer from the government, for another $44,000 to $64,000 per doctor to buy that private information? So there you have it. We're in trouble, folks. We better fight this with everything we've got. We'll be back in a moment where we will continue the fight. And it's an honor always to do it alongside you. Stay tuned for more of the Dr. Gina Show right after this.